At the start of the movie, we see a sweet little girl, around 10 years old. Her name is Sophie, and she lives in an asylum because her parents passed away. Sophie suffered from insomnia, which meant she couldn't sleep at night. She would spend her nights reading because she couldn't fall asleep at all. Like every child, she was also afraid of the idea that an old man, BFG, would come in the dark of the night, take children away, and eat them. One night, when everyone was asleep, she heard a cat sound near the window. Since she wasn't sleepy, she decided to check outside. When she stepped onto the balcony, she saw some cats knocking over a dustbin. Suddenly, she noticed a giant figure emerge from behind the building. This giant picked up the fallen dustbin and put it back in its place. The next moment, a huge giant appeared from behind the building. Sophie had already seen the giant, and the giant had also noticed Sophie. Seeing this, Sophie got scared and quickly rushed back to her bed. However, the giant reached inside through the window, grabbed her, and took her with him. We see that this giant avoided coming in front of humans. Whenever he saw a human in his path, he would find a way to hide himself and sneak away. He took Sophie along and entered another world, the world of giants, where only giants lived. Sophie noticed that everything there was enormous, just like the giant himself. She tried to escape but soon realized that there was no way out. The giant told her, "You cannot leave this place." She then saw the giant put a large pot on the stove and say, "I am very hungry. My hunger is uncontrollable." Sophie immediately understood that the giant was planning to eat her. She also heard the laughter of other giants in the distance. Curious, she asked, "Are there other giants here?" To which the good giant replied, "Yes, there are many other giants here, and all of them are cannibals. They eat humans raw because they have no sympathy for them. Whoever falls into their hands is swallowed whole." Hearing this, Sophie became even more frightened. She nervously asked, "Will you eat me too?" The big giant laughed and said, "No, I don't eat humans. I am a vegetarian giant." Unlike the other giants, he only ate vegetables, even though they didn't taste good to him. But despite that, he refused to eat humans, proving that he was kind-hearted. Sophie then asked him, "If you don't eat humans, why did you bring me here?" The giant replied, "Because you saw me. If you told anyone about me, my life would be in danger. Humans would find out about us, and they would come to kill us all. That's why I had to bring you here. Now you will have to live with me for the rest of your life." Sophie immediately refused, saying, "No, I will escape from here." The giant warned her, "Don't even think about running away, or the other giants will show you no mercy." He then placed her on a bed and said, "Rest for a while." But Sophie couldn't sleep. She then noticed the giant taking out large bottles from his bag. Something was glowing inside them. She curiously asked, "What's in those bottles?" The giant replied, "These are dreams." Sophie said, "Oh, then they're useless to me. I never have dreams because I never sleep." The giant then started reading a book that Sophie had with her. It contained many stories. As he read, Sophie finally drifted off to sleep. While she was asleep, the giant took a bottle and released a dream. Just then, Sophie woke up and saw the old giant still sleeping. Seizing the opportunity, she quietly sneaked out of the house and tried to escape. But just as she was running away, a much bigger giant caught her. This giant was even bigger than the old giant. Sophie pleaded, "Please let me go." But the giant didn't listen and carried her away. Suddenly, Sophie woke up. It was all a dream. She exclaimed, "I knew it. I never dream, and I never sleep." "But you made me see this dream on purpose, didn't you?" The giant admitted, "Yes, I did this to show you how much danger you're in. That's why it's safer for you to stay here." The old giant then explained that he was much smaller than the other giants. Compared to them, he was nothing. He said, "I am just a tiny giant, and I'm old too." As they were talking, a huge giant entered the room. This giant was much bigger than the old one. He asked, "Who were you talking to?" All the giants called the old one Runt because he was the smallest among them. The old giant quickly replied, "No one. I wasn't talking to anyone." Meanwhile, Sophie hid somewhere. The large giant had a wound on his hand and had come to the old giant to get it bandaged. However, since he was a cannibal, he could smell a human presence in the house. He started looking around. Seeing this, Sophie quickly hid inside a pile of vegetables, the same vegetables the old giant ate. When the large giant smelled the vegetables, he detected the scent of a human. He had never eaten those vegetables before, but today they smelled appetizing to him because Sophie was hiding inside. He picked up the vegetables to eat them. Seeing this, the old giant shouted, "Stop! You can't eat that!" The large giant hesitated and said, "Oh, I forgot. I don't eat vegetables." He then threw the vegetables away, unknowingly saving Sophie's life. After that, the large giant left. Later, the old giant prepared to go somewhere. Sophie asked, "Where are you going?" He replied, "I have some important work." She insisted, "What important work?" But he didn't answer. After much persuasion, he finally revealed, "I'm going to catch dreams." Sophie excitedly said, "Take me with you." But the old giant refused, saying, "No, it's too dangerous. The other giants are sleeping right now. But if they wake up and see you, it will be disastrous." He didn't want to take any risks. However, after much pleading, the old giant agreed. They tried to pass through the area while the other giants were asleep. But just then, the giants woke up and started harassing the old giant. They told him, "We don't want you to go out into the human world. If humans find out about us, our lives will be in danger." While the giants were distracted, Sophie took the chance to hide inside a vehicle. Suddenly, the old giant pointed to the sky and said, "Look!" When the giants looked up, they saw dark clouds gathering. It was about to rain. As soon as the rain started, the giants rushed to find shelter. Taking advantage of the moment, Sophie and the old giant escaped. They climbed up the mountains and eventually reached a point beyond the clouds. Sophie admired the view, saying, "The stars look so beautiful from here." The good giant smiled and said, "I can even hear their music." He explained, "I can hear everything in this world. The sound of grains falling, the tiny whispers of insects, and even the stories told by trees. My ears are so sharp that I can hear every sound in the world." Amazed, Sophie said, "I can't believe it." The old giant chuckled and said, "But it's true, my child. You have to believe it." After that, they arrived at a lake with a large tree beside it. The giant stepped into the water and Sophie followed him. Together, they reached the other side, which was the world of dreams. In this place, dreams fell from the sky like shooting stars, and giants came here to catch them. As they spent time there, the old giant shared his sad story. He revealed how all the other giants mocked him, calling him runt because he was the smallest among them. But then he becomes happy, thinking that at least he met someone here who called him the big friendly giant. Hearing this, Sophie says, "Then from now on, I will also call you the big friendly giant, or BFG for short." After catching dreams, they roam around the city where children are sleeping in their homes. The big friendly giant, BFG, gives them wonderful dreams while they sleep so that they can find happiness in their dreams. Here we learn that BFG is a kind-hearted giant who brings dreams from the world of dreams and shares them with people. Even if only in their sleep, he wants to bring happiness to their lives. Sophie asks, "Did your parents tell you about dreams?" But BFG replies, "I have been here for as long as the world itself has existed. Giants were created alongside the world, but we have always lived hidden from humans, behind walls." As they prepare to return, Sophie realizes, "Where is my blanket?" In reality, Sophie's blanket had been left behind in the land of giants, which worries her. Because of this, BFG tells her, "I can't take you with me anymore." By now, the other giants must have realized that I have a human with me. He also reveals something important. "A long time ago, I met another child just like you, just as sweet and innocent. Like you, that child also saw me, so I took them to the land of giants. That child taught me how to read, and this jacket you're wearing belonged to my dear little friend. But before I could return that child to their world, it was too late. I don't want what happened to them to happen to you because you are my friend too." For this reason, he decides to leave Sophie behind and go away. However, Sophie refuses to stay and insists that he take her along. But this time, BFG does not listen to her. He leaves Sophie in the city and starts walking away. Not wanting to stay there, Sophie jumps from the balcony, knowing that BFG will save her. And he does. Because of this, BFG is forced to listen to Sophie and take her back with him. Meanwhile, the other giants had been waiting for BFG at his home. They already knew that the old giant had been hiding a human. Using the scent of Sophie's blanket, they search through BFG's house, destroying everything in their way. To prevent them from tracking Sophie's scent, BFG burns the blanket. Sophie then looks at a picture on the wall, which gives her an idea. She tells BFG, "You should create a dream for the princess. In that dream, show her that there is a world of giants and that these giants are dangerous and eat children. Also include us in the dream so that when we meet the princess, she will recognize us." BFG agrees and creates a dream about the dangerous giants. He also includes himself and Sophie in it, as well as many other missing children from the city. Then they go to the princess's home and place the dream in her sleep. When the princess dreams, she sees everything exactly as BFG and Sophie planned. When she wakes up, she is terrified because it was a nightmare. She tells her caretaker about the dream. The caretaker tries to reassure her, saying, "It was just a dream." However, when she reads the newspaper, she exclaims, "This is strange. Last night, many children went missing from their homes, exactly like in your dream." At that moment, the princess says, "Open the curtains." And when the curtains are drawn, Sophie is standing at the window. In reality, BFG had included this moment in the dream as well. He also made himself a part of it. Sophie tells the princess all about BFG and makes her promise that she will not harm him. Then BFG respectfully bows before the princess. She keeps her promise and welcomes him kindly. A funny thing about the giants was that they couldn't pronounce words correctly. For example, instead of queen, BFG mistakenly called her magister. Similarly, he pronounced humans incorrectly and mixed up many other words. Despite this, the princess welcomes BFG warmly and invites him to a grand feast. BFG and Sophie then tell the princess everything about the world of giants. They explain that there are 9 huge giants who capture and eat children. The princess decides to help them. She gathers her entire army, and with BFG's help, they set off for the land of giants in helicopters. They have a well-planned strategy. According to the plan, they stop at a certain place and prepare to attack. BFG creates a dream that will make the giants feel shame and regret for their actions. However, just as he is about to release the dream, he realizes, "I left the dream jar at the princess's palace. Without the dream, the plan cannot work." Bravely, Sophie takes the dream jar and sneaks into the giants' land, where they are sleeping. But before she can break the jar, the leader of the giants wakes up. Just as he is about to catch Sophie, she smashes the jar, and the dream spreads among the sleeping giants. In their dreams, they feel deep regret for their terrible deeds. However, the leader of the giants was awake, so the dream didn't affect him. Furious, he attacks Sophie, but BFG steps in to protect her. Because BFG is much smaller, the giant lifts him in the air. Just as the leader is about to hurt BFG, the princess's army arrives with helicopters. They capture all the giants and take them away, leaving them stranded on an island in the middle of the ocean. Since these giants were afraid of water, they could not escape. To ensure they wouldn't harm anyone again, the princess had vegetables planted on the island. Now the giants had no choice but to eat vegetables for the rest of their lives, something they absolutely hated. After this, we see that Sophie no longer lives in an orphanage, but in the princess's palace, where she is very happy. She can talk to BFG whenever she wants because he had told her that he could hear all the sounds of the world. On the other hand, BFG is now completely alone in the land of giants. However, instead of just eating the one vegetable he used to, he has now started growing many different vegetables and is happy in his own way. Every morning, Sophie wakes up, stands by the window and says, "Good morning, BFG." And BFG hears her and replies. And with that, this beautiful movie comes to an end. Thank you for watching.